Imagine this. You walk into your local grocery store expecting the usual. But instead of full aisles and stocked shelves, it feels like a ghost town. The bread section is half empty, the egg cooler is bare, flour has completely vanished, and your favorite bag of coffee, nowhere to be found. Sounds like a scene from a doomsday movie, right? The truth is, it's already happening across parts of the country, and prices are rising faster than most of us ever thought possible. Here's the harsh reality. Food shortages are no longer a what if. They're here. And if you're not paying attention, you could get caught off guard at the worst possible time. That's why in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 9 critical grocery items you need to stock up on right now, before the shortages spread further. And trust me, when we get to number 6, you're going to be shocked. I've spent hours digging into USDA reports, monitoring real-time price surges, and combing through unfiltered posts from people on Reddit, Facebook, and Twitter. What I found was alarming. Eggs have doubled in price in some states, beef is breaking records, and pantry staples are quietly disappearing before most shoppers even notice. And here's the kicker. It's not just the obvious stuff. Some of the items I'll show you might surprise you, but they could make or break your pantry when supply chains really start to crumble. So stick with me until the end, because by the time this video is over, you'll have a clear no-nonsense shopping list to protect your family and your wallet. And hey, while you're here, let me know in the comments, have you seen empty shelves, sudden price jumps, or even ration limits where you shop? Sharing your experience could help someone else prepare before it's too late. Alright, let's dive in. First up, fresh eggs, the silent gold rush of 2025. If you think eggs will always be sitting pretty in the grocery aisle, think again. Right now they've become the new panic item in American stores, and this isn't just hype. Millions of hens have been wiped out, thanks to a nasty bird flu outbreak, cutting the supply almost overnight. And the result? Prices that make people double-check the receipt, because they can't believe a single carton costs that much. In some areas, egg prices have nearly doubled compared to last year, and we've already seen record highs in early 2025. Even popular breakfast chains like Waffle House are adding extra charges for egg-based meals, because they simply can't absorb the skyrocketing costs anymore. Social media is filled with photos of bare shelves and jaw-dropping price tags. Some big supermarket chains have even started rationing cartons, limiting how many each shopper can buy. And yes, this is happening in America, not just in some disaster movie. Now the government and egg industry are scrambling to fix the crisis by importing more eggs, offering relief money, and enforcing stricter farm biosecurity. Wholesale prices have dipped a little from the absolute peak, but here's the problem. Rebuilding chicken flocks takes months, and once a farm is hit with bird flu, it's not as simple as flipping a switch. That means egg prices and supply will stay shaky for the foreseeable future. So here's the bottom line. If eggs are part of your daily life, whether it's breakfast, baking, or even your favorite coffee recipes, be smart and stock up while you can. Freeze extras, don't wait until your store starts rationing, and definitely don't assume prices will drop back down anytime soon. Waiting could mean either paying double or going without. And that brings us to number 2, shelf-stable proteins, the real survival food. When meat prices go through the roof, or fresh cuts disappear altogether, canned meats and jerky turn into lifesavers. The U.S. meat snack market was worth over $4 billion in 2024, and it's still growing. That should tell you something. People are waking up to the value of long-lasting high-protein food. When times get tough, jerky and canned protein aren't just snacks, they're the safety net that keeps you fed. Let's be real, when things get tough, you're not thinking about 5-star meals, you're thinking about survival. That's where shelf-stable proteins step in. They're light, filling, and don't spoil on you. Canned meats like Spam, shredded chicken, tuna and beef stew were practically invented for crisis moments. They don't need refrigeration, they stack neatly in your pantry, and when stored right, they can last 2 to 5 years without losing quality. That kind of shelf life is a game changer when grocery trips become risky, supply chains snap, or prices explode overnight. And the warning signs are already here. Food pantries across the U.S., especially those serving vulnerable communities, are reporting canned meat shortages. That's the kind of red flag you don't want to ignore. Add to that the global demand for jerky, which has absolutely exploded, and suddenly those little packets of smoky protein look like prime real estate. Now, a smart stash isn't just about piling up the same can over and over. Variety matters. Keep some plain canned meats for cooking flexibility, a few hearty stews for quick meals when you can't cook, and jerky for portable high-energy snacks. These aren't fine dining items. They're fuel, protein, and morale all rolled into one when fresh food disappears. And here's the funny part. The same people who scoff at canned spam today will be the first ones wishing they had a few tins in the cupboard when fresh meat doubles in price and shelves go bare. So do yourself a favor. Stock up now, rotate your cans. Oldest first, and you'll never have to wonder where your next protein source is coming from. Now let's shift gears, because this next one might hit you where it hurts. Coffee and your everyday drinks. The silent price climb you can't ignore. Coffee lovers, brace yourselves. Your morning ritual is quietly becoming one of the most expensive habits you have. Between May 2024 and May 2025, roasted and instant coffee prices jumped around 12%, and the overall non-alcoholic beverage index climbed 4%. Those aren't just numbers. That's your $5 bag of coffee creeping toward $9, and in premium brands, hitting $15 to $20. Why? The perfect storm. Bad weather crushed harvests in Brazil and other top coffee producers. Import tariffs and shipping delays only piled on. Green coffee beans. The raw stuff nearly doubled in cost and hit record highs in early 2025. And when roasters are paying inflated wholesale prices, guess who eats the cost? You. Government data shows ground coffee prices in January 2025 were a staggering 75% higher than just 5 years ago. People are noticing. Some shoppers are already hoarding bags of beans, trying to lock in today's price before the next hike. And here's the kicker, demand isn't slowing down. Americans will cut back on a lot of things, but not their caffeine fix. That means prices aren't just going to dip back to normal. If you want to stay ahead, you've got to think storage. Whole beans last longer than pre-ground. Instant coffee, that's the king of shelf life. And don't overlook other drinks. Bottled teas, powdered mixes, and electrolyte packets suddenly become lifesavers when fresh options are limited. Short term, you'll feel the sticker shock every time you hit the checkout or grab a latte at your favorite cafe. Long term, climate instability and global trade issues mean high prices are the new normal. The smart move? Buy extra now. Store it in a cool, dry place. Your future self will thank you when your daily cup doesn't feel like a luxury splurge. But coffee is just the start. Let's talk about beef, the so-called luxury meat that's about to hit prices you won't believe. Let's talk about beef, the so-called luxury meat that's about to get even more out of reach. Right now, ground beef is already hovering around $6 a pound in many places, and premium cuts. They've broken into double-digit territory. And here's the thing, you can't just blame inflation or a seasonal price bump. This is the fallout of years of drought, skyrocketing feed costs, and ranchers being forced to sell off cattle just to survive. Here's the kicker, rebuilding herds doesn't happen overnight. A calf born today won't be ready for market for about 2 years. So even if every rancher in America started restocking tomorrow, you're still looking at tight supply until late 2026, if not longer. Meatpacking giants like Tyson are already reporting losses in their beef divisions. They're paying top dollar for cattle, but there's only so much processing capacity to go around, and you can't build new plants overnight. Imports? They help a little, but tariffs, disease scares, and trade restrictions make foreign beef unreliable. Meanwhile, demand isn't slowing down. Americans aren't giving up their burgers or steaks anytime soon, and that constant demand is what keeps prices under pressure. So if beef is a regular part of your diet, it's time to start thinking freezer first. Stock up on ground beef when you catch a good deal. Vacuum seal steaks to stretch their shelf life. And if you want long-term insurance, grab shelf-stable canned beef. Treat beef like gold, because price-wise, that's exactly where it's headed. Now, let's shift to something less glamorous but far more important. Rice and grains, the calorie kings you can't afford to ignore. Forget the fancy gourmet foods for a second. Rice, oats, pasta, flour, these are the backbone of any serious food stash. They're cheap, they're filling, they last for years if stored correctly, and when fresh meat or vegetables vanish, these staples are what keep you going. Every serious prepper has a corner of their pantry stacked with sacks of carbs for a reason. The numbers don't lie. As of June 2025, U.S. rough rice stocks were about 697 million hundredweight, 15% higher than last year. Sounds good, right? But look closer. Global rice consumption is rising fast, world reserves are smaller, and production forecasts are shaky. Corn tells the same story. U.S. corn stocks are down 7% compared to last year. Not catastrophic yet, but enough to make supply chains nervous. And here's the danger zone. When food prices rise, and they already have, with food at home costs up 2.4% in the last year, people fall back on staples. Suddenly demand for rice, pasta, oats, and flour spikes overnight. Throw in a bad harvest, a storm, or a trade disruption, and shelves can clear out in days. The practical move. Build a mix. Long grain rice for everyday meals, quick cook rice for emergencies, rolled oats for breakfast and baking, strong flour for bread, pizza, and more. But don't just buy and forget. Rotate your stash, eat from it, replace it, keep it fresh. A couple sacks of rice and boxes of pasta can literally buy you weeks of food security if the supply chain gets shaky. Ignore carbs at your own risk. They're cheap insurance when the rest of your grocery bill is on fire. Now here's one most people laugh off, until it's gone. Sugar and sweets, the mood lifters you'll desperately miss when shelves go empty. See, when we talk about survival, most people picture beans and rice. But sugar, chocolate, candy bars, these aren't just junk food. They're morale boosters. They keep spirits up when times get tough. And right now they're quietly getting more expensive. According to the USDA, sugar and sweets prices in June 2025 were about 5% higher than the same time last year, with another 5% increase expected before year's end. That may not sound like much, until you realize how often sugar sneaks into your daily life. Coffee, baking, quick desserts, even keeping your kids calm for a few minutes. So why the hike? Bad weather has hammered both sugar beet and cane harvests. Trade issues have squeezed imports. And with global demand for sweets staying strong, prices aren't likely to ease anytime soon. The takeaway? Stock up while it's affordable. Bags of sugar keep for years if stored properly. Chocolate and candy can be frozen to extend shelf life. Because when stress is high and supplies are low, that one sweet treat might matter more than you think. Let's finish the sugar story, because this one's bigger than people realize. Global sugar and cocoa prices have spiked hard, and U.S. imports keep domestic prices higher than the world average. Add in transportation and packaging costs, and suddenly that simple bag of sugar or box of cookies eats a noticeable chunk out of your budget. But here's the kicker: people don't stop buying sweets when times get tough. Sure, they may switch to cheaper brands, but demand stays strong. That means during shortages, your favorite candy bar might still be there, just at a price that makes you pause, or in smaller supply during holidays like Halloween or Christmas when everyone's rushing to buy at once. If you bake, sweeten your coffee, or just need a little sugar hit now and then, stash some extras now. White sugar lasts indefinitely if stored dry. Cocoa powder, hard candies, and chocolate bars can all be rotated easily. These aren't just luxuries, they're comfort items, small morale boosts that can make hard times feel just a little more normal. Bottom line, in a shortage, sugar and sweets will be one of the first comfort categories to spike in price, or vanish entirely. Stocking a little extra today is cheap insurance for your taste buds and your sanity. Now let's move to something almost everyone overlooks, until it's too late. Grab-and-go snacks, the small packages that can become big lifesavers. Call them what you like: granola bars, protein bars, crackers, or those little single-serve snack packs. They're the unsung heroes of any pantry. Most people don't think twice about them until the fridge is empty, the power's out, or there's no way to cook a meal. That's when these little packs of instant calories suddenly mean everything. Here's the reality: over 90% of people worldwide snack between meals every single day. And America, no exception. In fact, the U.S. snack bar market alone was worth nearly $9 billion in 2024, and it's still climbing. But here's where it gets scary. One spike in sugar or grain prices, a factory slowdown, or a quiet company recall, and your favorite protein bar could vanish overnight. And with grocery prices in mid-2025 still about 3% higher than last year, and sugars and sweets up over 5%, snack ingredients are only getting more expensive. From a prepper's perspective, these little items are gold. No refrigeration, months of shelf life, high calorie density. A single protein bar can keep you going for hours. Crackers with peanut butter give you protein and fat. Jerky or high-protein bars add staying power when life throws you a curveball.